Sorry, I know I'm late to this one, but I still think it's worth doing. You know how Qantas, Australia's national airline, gave membership to their exclusive Chairman's Lounge to the Prime Minister's son? What the fuck, Qantas? How many subs does he even have? I know he's Albo's son and all, but come on, I have over 1 million subscribers and I'm stuck here at the Virgin Silver Lounge? No, it's not because I'm a virgin. Emphasis on the silver. It's because I always come second. You know how much water I'd be willing to carry for Qantas if you compromise me with a few flight upgrades and free meals? I would make video after video about why the workers that Qantas illegally sacked to prevent them from taking industrial action deserved everything that was coming to them. If they wanted to keep their jobs, maybe they should have just worked harder. Ever thought of it that way? Angles our mainstream media is too afraid or too stupid to address. Even then, there's nowhere little old Qantas can get a word in. Even our alternative media is presenting biased, one-sided coverage of our national carrier.
You're a grub, that's who you are, mate.
That wouldn't have happened, Alan Joyce, if you were just a little more strategic with your Chairman's Lounge memberships. And knowing Russia's recent history with commercial airplanes, it really is in your best interest to treat the Aussie Cossack with a little more respect. On the other hand, what the fuck is Albanese's son ever going to do for you? The Albaneses aren't the Kennedys yet, but little old me, I'll start a beef with Richard Branson, that Austin Powers looking c***. But I don't have that membership yet. So today I'm joining in on the pylon. Despite the name, Qantas is the plane for virgins. Who would want to fuck anyone on the Qantas board, especially compared to Virgin? I'd join in on one of Richard Branson's, quote, bacchanalian orgies. Qantas has recently been in the news a lot recently, as it seems the media class being able to travel again are remembering how shit it is flying with Qantas. As a touring comedian who flies almost every week, buy tickets to my live show, I've been on the Qantas a shit plane for a very long time. This has been exacerbated by a rediscovery of the usual excesses of the political class at accepting essentially bribes from Qantas in the form of Chairman Lounge memberships. But I can't say I wouldn't. I mean, look, I am unironically begging for one of those memberships. I'm sick to fucking death of fly Qantas economy. Despite the perceived closeness of Albanese to Qantas, mostly because the man has the face that really just doesn't scream restraint, does it? Broadly, Labour and the union movement have been at Qantas's throat for years. In 2020, Qantas sacked 1,700 ground staff. The Transport Workers Union launched legal action in response, alleging that Qantas sacked these workers to prevent them from taking industrial action. The onus was on Qantas to prove otherwise. The federal court, definitely my favourite court, ruled that Qantas couldn't prove that they didn't sack the workers to prevent industrial action. Big L for Qantas. In fact, evidence presented in this case included handwritten notes from Qantas's then Chief Operating Officer Paul Jones, which said Labour Gov lock-in benefits plus open EBA's 2020 deaths, ? Then when he was asked what he meant by the reference to Labour, along with giving a few of the classic I don't recalls, which the judge even said sometimes appeared to be Jones feigning a lack of recollection. Jones said it could be a reference to state Labour, then conceding at the time that he could have been concerned by the possibility of a federal Labour government that would bring in the same job, same pay laws, which if passed would make it pointless for Qantas to sack workers in the future, as you can't outsource to cheaper labour hire firms because, as the name of the law suggests, same job, same pay. We'll get back to these proposed laws in a second, but first, Qantas appealed this federal court loss to the High Court. With this, Industrial Relations Minister Tony Burke intervened in support of the sacked workers, arguing against the appeal. Which I gotta say, what a dog move. Tony, they gave you Chairman's Lounge membership. Qantas, you think I'd snake you like Tony did if you gave me that membership? Fuck no. Those 1,700 workers had it coming. To make matters worse, Qantas lost the appeal, with the High Court upholding the Federal Court's original decision that Qantas illegally sacked those workers. This is where Dutton and the Coalition's populist crusade against Qantas gets really funny. When the Coalition were in government, they supported Qantas in the sacking of those workers. I think Tony Burke puts it best here.
The aviation sector support was provided, and then Qantas said the workers, even though they were being paid JobKeeper, would run down their leave. And once their leave had been run down and they came to be brought back on shift, they were told after being stood down for 6 months that they were fired. Yep. That's what happened. While their leave was being run down, the Industrial Relations Minister of the day said it was, I quote, a good model. The Transport Minister of the day said, "I know the decisions are in the best interest of their company going forward." And Senator Cash at the time said, "This is a commercial decision for Qantas, and Qantas are entitled to make those decisions." Well, you are not entitled to illegally sack people.
I know I'm repeating myself, but come on, Qantas, revoke his membership and give everyone in the coalition gold, platinum, boss status chairman's membership. Anyway, you know those same job, same pay laws I was talking about earlier? Well, the Qantas COO was right to be worried about them because Labor is in the process of pushing them through against a pretty large rent-seeking employer backlash. Again, the laws will do what the name suggests. They will prevent companies from outsourcing cheaper labour. And again, despite the coalition's recent bluster about Qantas, when it comes to backing in laws that are designed to help Qantas workers, maybe at the expense of the multi-million-dollar bonuses of the execs, you know what the coalition does? They fight against those laws. It's actually so epic. Really, the only criticism the coalition has about Qantas is over Labor's decision to block extra flights from Qatar Airways. It's too good. Somehow, against all odds, the one time Peter Dutton appears to take a swing against the corporation, he's managed to side with an entity that treats workers worse than Qantas, the Qatari government. We really should know better by now, seeing the coalition side with workers and consumers over a monopolistic corporation would be like seeing a Frenchman that's not simultaneously horny and angry. You just don't ever see it. It doesn't exist. When I saw this headline, I thought, hang on, is that Dutton, leader of the Liberal Party, taking a stand against a corporation? And do my eyes deceive me? Is that a non-horny angry Frenchman in the distance? Let me take a closer look. No, just pantomime. But what about that Frenchman?
A friend of mine.
Voilà. He says you are great. Il dit que vous êtes très jolie. C'est ça en gros ce que tu veux lui dire.
Nah,
Oui.
you are not Reagan, I'm not Gorbachev, so don't try, eh? I said I want to fuck her.
Oui, alors, je vais vous traduire. Non.
Sorry, that was an excuse to play that clip because I really think that we've been sleeping on French people as a very funny people. Liddy Tudes had it right. Pepe Le Pew's an amazing character. And I'm not just some English guy shitting on the French. I mean, no disrespect to the French. You guys get shit done. If Air France treated its workers like Qantas treated its workers, the French would be up in arms. None of this federal court bullshit. You guys would literally tear the clothes from the backs of the executives. Oh yeah, that happened. See, I was right. Furiously tearing the clothes off their bosses, the French, always horny and angry. But the Transport Workers Union, on the other hand, just angry. They're now calling for the federal government to introduce a Safe and Secure Skies Commission to better regulate Australia's aviation industry, which is probably sorely needed, as the TWU Secretary Michael Caine points out. There are structural problems in aviation, Mr. Wayne, which accumulate power in the hands of airport corporations and airlines against workers and passengers' interests. And that is pretty apparent if you've flown in Australia recently. Airplane food, am I right? Even worse are the air hostesses. No good, folks, I swear to God. Hey, how about you regulate them with some makeup rules while you're at it? What? Everyone's thinking it. How about a safer and sexier skies commission, am I right? Whilst we're here, I may as well whinge about this. You see that the Australia Competition and Consumer Commission is taking Qantas to court, alleging that they sold tickets for 8,000 flights that they already knew were cancelled. I mean, who the f*** is running Qantas? Logan Paul? Brian King legend? Maybe not, but I bet Brian's put on his website that he's the Chairman's Lounge member. Reference to this video, go watch it if you don't get it. Look, if there is any takeaway from this video, it should be that you should join your union. And the French people are funny. But they get it, they're unionised. If the Transport Workers Union didn't take Qantas to court, they would have gotten away with an illegal firing of 1,700 people. It's the union movement pushing for these industrial reforms that will not only make outsourcing untenable, but make it slightly less annoying to fly Qantas because you'll have properly paid workers that feel slightly less compelled to do this.
A Qantas baggage handler slams a suitcase onto the conveyor belt.
Now, apart from joining a union, what else can you do to solve the humiliating decline of our national carrier? Buy our new Qantas t-shirt, of course. Qantas, I'll be selling these t-shirts until you make me a member of the Chairman's Lounge. So you hear that? Buy them quickly. These shirts are potentially limited edition. If Qantas knows what's good for them, that is. And if you're still not convinced that there are at least parts of Labor that hate Qantas, I'll leave you with a bit of a speech from New South Wales Labor member Mark Buttigieg, who far from being a member of the Chairman's Lounge avoids flying Qantas out of disgust for how it treats its workers.
Mr Deputy President, this is a monumental landmark decision by the High Court of Australia. And what it says is that if you try and opportunistically use circumstances such that Qantas did under the cover of COVID after taking billions in taxpayers' money, if you try and foreclose the rights of working people in Australia to participate in the life of their union and take industrial action, you will be caught out.
Anyway, that was my Take 5 on flying in Australia. Only fresh comedy here, not running out of topics at all. Tune in next week for my cutting-edge chair humping bit.